What's up, board game people? Today I'm going to do something I don't often do. We're going to take a look at a campaign that'll be closing in mere days. Dungeons of Doria, at the time of filming, has only 48 hours left in their campaign, which is already funded and started knocking out stretch goals. So why do this so late? Well, I gave the campaign a quick browse when it launched, and I found some things that just didn't sit right with me about the art choices, amongst other things. It turns out the creator's been listening to fans and during the campaign has made numerous changes, both improving art, the game, and the campaign as a whole. So join me and we'll take a very quick look at Dungeons of Doria, and if you like what you see, you can jump in before the buzzer. I don't get any money from game companies for my videos. I make them for gamers like me so we can find new and amazing games that we would love to play. If you get something wrong or we disagree on something, let me know in the comments. For thousands of years, the people of the continent of Doria have warred amongst themselves and against the threats from all corners of the land. Doria is filled with dungeons, towers, and cellars rife with monsters, treasures, and artifacts. You're mercenaries, vagabonds, and heroes in search of gold and glory. Pack your bags, sharpen your blades, and study your spells. If you succeed at the quest you're hired for, you'll doubtlessly uncover untold treasures and artifacts along the way. The tasks before you are great and difficult, but if you band together, you might just have what it takes to survive the perils and escape from the Dungeons of Doria. Dungeons of Doria is a cooperative roguelike adventure board game for 1 to 6 heroes. You'll play without a game master, select a hero or heroes, choose a quest, and begin a dungeon crawl. Quests can be played as single one-off scenarios or as part of a larger campaign that will stretch across nights of adventure. Dungeons, traps, treasures, and monsters are laid out in a mostly random fashion, keeping play fresh even when you've seen a particular quest before. Several different campaigns are also available, full of scenarios. With Dungeons of Doria, there's almost always something new to explore. Winning or losing is done together. You must match wits with dangerous traps and deadly foes to accomplish your goals. Oh, and did I mention loot? Here we have tons of loot. With over 480 loot cards, there's always something new to find. Doria is an old-school dungeon crawler that pays homage to those that have gone before. A bit heavy on rules, but by all accounts easy enough to pick up and start playing immediately. The game cuts the fluff in favor of providing you with more adventure in a box than you'll know what to do with. Let's take a quick peek at the pledge levels and see what's on offer. The pledge levels that are available today are pretty simple. For $1, you get access to the print and play versions of the base game. You buy it, you print it, and then you can play it to your heart's content. For $69, you get the Dungeons of Doria printed game. This includes the print and play version, the core box, and any applicable stretch goals. For $138, you can get 2 copies of the printed version of Dungeons of Doria. This includes the print and play version, 2 core boxes, any applicable stretch goals, and if you purchase any add-ons, you'll automatically receive 2 copies instead of 1 at no extra charge. Christmas gifts, anyone? Dungeons of Doria also offers several different add-ons for those wanting just a bit more. For around $10 or $11, you can get the digital versions of the campaign and supplements. This gets you PDFs for the campaign books and a PDF for the single community created scenarios that are created for this campaign. Also, it includes room events, door events, and possibly more. For an additional $5, you can get your name in the credits as a proud supporter of the project. For around $20, you can create your own room. This gets you access to all the content from the first Kickstarter as PDF and PNG files to create your own room tiles. For around $60, you can create your own scenario that will appear in the community single scenario book. You get to use the author name of your choice within reason. You write the scenario, and then you get a tabletop simulator or Tabletopia testing session with the creator. And you get digital files thrown in for free so you can play the scenario yourself. Please read the full description for details. The campaign has several stretch goals already unlocked with a substantial list yet to come. The stretch goals are set at very honest intervals and are great improvements to the game. I can see several, if not all of these getting unlocked here in the last few hours. Already unlocked, we have card material upgrades, a new campaign including a printed book, upgraded dungeon tiles, cheaper shipping for everyone, and the boss monster deck will now be printed and cards included in the core box. Still to come, they're offering a material upgrade for the initiative board and character mats, a plastic tray for all the components, and possibly even having room for sleeved cards. Printed door event decks with some new items, additional dice, printed room events, and more. Fair shipping estimates are presented on a table on the page. These are estimates only, and shipping and taxes and VAT will be charged where necessary in the Pledge Manager. They're hoping to start delivery in August of 2023, in just under a year from now. So let's chat a bit about the game and why I changed my mind on it. First and foremost, this game attracted my attention because of the story of its creation and the long history of this project. I apologize if I get some of this wrong, as I heard this all from another source, but from what I know, the game was dreamt up at the gaming tables of a local gaming store. And Viktor has spent the better part of the last decade throwing the game in front of as many people as possible at conventions and expos, gathering feedback, tweaking rules, and simply doing their best to capture the essence of a loot-packed dungeon crawl in a box. This is a passion project, those things I harp that Kickstarter and crowdfunding is all about. This isn't a small or even a medium-sized company pushing a product for pre-sales. This is Viktor and a small collection of artists and help trying to produce a game that without our help on crowdfunding would never see a production-ready printed version released to a wide scale. This is a dream given wings. This game can be what I consider a bit old school for sake of being old school. I want to see innovation, even in a game calling back to the good old times. The game tends to be a bit rule-heavy, but those rules are peripheral. The core rule set is easy to learn and put into practice, and the peripheral rules will have you checking the rulebook for a bit, but eventually I believe even those will become second nature. So don't get too afraid if you glance at that rulebook and feel a bit overwhelmed. Dive in and play and learn as you go. The Quick Start Guide should be a great help in getting you off the ground. I don't know that it'll be for everyone, but I truly think that if you like dungeon crawlers, it's worth taking a chance on. I think everyone can find something to love here. So, I said at first that I'd seen the game and opted to pass. I saw things that just didn't rub me right, and while I would love to support every passion project out there with videos and money, I only have so much time and especially funds to go around, and my funds to build a massive gaming collection are drying up quickly. Looking at the original version of the room tiles with the overlarge clip art-like symbols on them was a real turnoff for me. Then the character boards kind of made my tiny little brain start to hurt trying to make heads or tails of them. I was also having trouble following the campaign page itself to determine what was being offered in print and what was digital only. I suffer from bad migraines, and one trigger of mine is staring at a tablet or phone and reading text for too long. I simply shied away because it appeared too many components were digital only. Well, speaking of all this, I have some good news. The Doria team has been listening and been busy fixing all of this. When I took my second look, I started to dig through the updates, and lo and behold, they've been listening to their fans and have been hard at work. Most of my gripes and critiques have been worked on or completely fixed. It isn't readily apparent just looking at the front page of the campaign, but digging deeper, I found what I had hoped to see in the updates. Digital-only components have been mostly already converted to physical versions. I think in the end, digital versions will be there for those that want them, but physicals will be available in almost every case. I was worried about the cost at first. While €69 is absolutely a good price if you live in the EU, at the beginning of the campaign, conversion rates sucked for the US, and the project was hovering around $80 to $85, which would have been a bit hard to swallow. Conversion rates fluctuate rapidly, and for us in the US, they've done so in our favor, bringing the cost of the core down to around $70, which I personally find to be just about right. Add-ons are also fairly priced here. If you want the print and play and get the digital files, you have a monster load of content for around $11. That's crazy good. Want to make your own scenario? That isn't just for the super rich here, it's affordable. In the updates, some alternate design ideas for the initiative board have been presented that take it from being an eye ache towards a workable component. I love their flexibility in dealing with issues like this, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they land on for the final design. The big one for me were the symbols on the map tiles. For me, they were absolutely killing immersion and stuck out like a sore thumb when they weren't really the true subjects of the tiles. Again, they've redesigned these to be much smaller and less obtrusive. The smaller symbols actually look much more professional and fit better with the theming of the tiles. One of the first stretch goals added an entire campaign to the game. This game is packed with content and has the potential to easily sprout more and more. You're getting a ton of content and components in a box that can be repurposed to tell so many great stories. Door and room events have been added throughout the campaign that should help spice up and add an element of chance and surprise to every new reveal on the map. I think personally we'll be playing with these, and I hope to see even more events added with time to keep things fresh. There's so much more here that really caught my eye. I'm a sucker for what I call overhead or overland maps, and Doria has one. For me, it helps bring the world to life and let my brain resolve that all this isn't just happening in a singular, dusty basement. Loot. I love loot. I love gear grids. Most dungeon crawlers give you 2, maybe 3 slots to assign an item to and leave it at that. You're leaving behind so much of your hard-earned treasure every time you set out. Here, you have 9 slots to populate. The loot that you work so hard for goes to use, and you have so many more choices and combinations to really adapt your hero to your own style. I also like the variety of monsters available here. In a game where even the monster types you're facing off against can be a bit random, variety is key, and here I think that there's enough without having too much variety. In the end, Dungeons of Doria does exactly what it sets out to do. It gathers a treasure trove of loot, dungeons, monsters, and scenarios and campaign content into a manageable box and gets an adventure and dungeon onto your tabletop. It's a game night in a box. This is a game that will likely become a classic amongst those of us who are familiar with the genre, and hopefully it'll introduce the good old dungeon crawl to a new generation of gamers so they can take up the torch. So with that, if you're interested, you have less than 48 hours to head over to Kickstarter and grab a copy. I hate that this video was so late in the campaign, but hopefully it helps some of you that may be on the fence make a final decision. We'll be back in a day or two with our weekly news video, and next week we'll have a whole lot more. If you haven't already, please hit that like or subscribe button and help us grow our community of gamers. Thanks to everyone watching and commenting. Have a great weekend and play something fun.